What is the best oil for your infusions? I personally believe this can be really subjective depending on your favorite oil in general, taste, your biochemistry, metabolism, etc. Today I want to talk about like a little more science-based approach. And you know, science is going to keep happening for cannabis, and cannabis is going to be so cool down the line to see how things progress. And I want to be part of that story, and I hope you guys do too. So please drop a comment with your opinion on this. Do you have an oil that you think is more potent? We're just talking mostly potency here, not taste. Let's put everything else to the side and just talk about pure potency. So one last thing too. I am going to be doing an experiment here, guys. I am going to be doing a butter, ghee butter, olive oil, and coconut oil. So 4 different infusions at the same time using the same exact method. Then I'll test it with my T-Check 3 Potency Tester, and we'll do a bunch of different tests, an average amount, and we will see from that testing what is the best in terms of total potency. Because I'm just going to pull up a couple charts here because this has me really just fascinated in general, guys. I geek out on this shit all the time. And if it's your first time tapping in, please show some love, subscribe. And yeah, so cannabis is fat soluble, meaning it needs a fat source to bind to. So that's why the most common you'll see is butter, coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, lard, you know, all that good stuff. So let's just pull up a couple charts here real quick, guys. So if we're looking in order of total saturated fats, here's kind of a breakdown. Then we'll go into some percentages, and I'll talk about what I think is really interesting about the monosaturated versus saturated. Firstly, we got coconut oil up there in the 90s, butter, palm oil, lard, peanut oil. I'm going to have a fire chili oil recipe coming at you guys with peanut oil. Soybean oil, I never use that. Sesame oil, never really used that. Corn, no. Olive oil all the time. Love it. And that's really what I want to dive into in a moment here. Sunflower oil, never used. Safflower oil, I've used before. Mary Medicinals has a pretty potent tincture I used to get, and they use safflower oil. I was reading more into the health benefits, so I don't use that quite as much. Walnut oil. So let's break down some percentages here, guys. What I just listed was the tiers of the highest saturated fat. Now let's dive a little more into this other chart here that breaks it down fully. So if we're looking, let's start with coconut oil. We're looking around 92% saturated, 6% monosaturated, and 2% polyunsaturated. Then we look at butter, 66% saturated, 30% monosaturated, and 4% polyunsaturated. Ghee here is 65%, 32%, 3%. Now you might be saying, looking at that, like, oh, I thought ghee has a higher amount of saturated fat. And to my knowledge, it does. I did some more research in the past. I've looked at this because basically when you're clarifying butter or making ghee butter, you're removing those milk fats. So per tablespoon, there will be a little higher amount of that saturated fat available. I did find this source here saying that ghee and butter have similar nutrient compositions, but the two have some differences. This is comparing them. It's saying saturated fat for ghee 8.7, butter 7.2. There's a lot of other sources that talk about this. This chart could be like a little deceiving, so I just wanted to mention that there. Now we go down to olive oil, 14% saturated compared to like coconut oil, which is 92, right? That's pretty crazy. But then it has 73% monosaturated, 11% polyunsaturated. But this is really fascinating to me, guys, because my olive oil infusions have always been really potent, and I love them. And I'm looking at, if it was just solely based off saturated fat, I would think those infusions wouldn't be that strong at all, right? So this is where I'm saying I think there needs to be a lot more research done. A lot of times online, you know, people get so used to kind of regurgitating the same info, and again, there just needs to be more research, guys. But the 73% monosaturated has me really interested because if you look at all of these other oils here on this chart, there is not one oil that even comes close to that besides canola oil. So I'm thinking maybe there is a little more in the game. Maybe monosaturated fat has a little more skin in the game. What do you guys think? Your olive oil infusions, if you made them, how do they compare to your coconut oil infusions? Again, I'm a believer that coconut oil and ghee butter are the top 2 to give you the most potent. I truly do believe that because I have noticed a slight difference. But again, I'm going to test it. I'm going to figure this out for you guys. This is what we're all about here, man. True Buds TV, Mason Pot guys, we just dive in on this. So that's basically what I wanted to cover. I didn't want to go too long on this video because I'm gonna have this other one coming at you. It'll be a little holiday gift maybe around Christmas time when I do these infusions or drop the video for you guys. I'm excited. I always like bringing you guys dope content, you know, just cool shit that fascinates me. Like I said, this is fucking fascinating to me to see that olive oil has such high unsaturated fat yet can still make a potent infusion. So I think at the end of the day, just think fat. Like actually, this is off the top here, guys. I recently did a infused milk video. Check it out over at Mason Pot. And it came out super fucking potent.